This is the Wide Format Impressions broadcast. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Dan Marks. The promotional products market is huge, amounting to more than $26 billion in revenue annually in the United States alone. And while promo represents a significant opportunity for print service providers of many different types, including wide format and industrial printers, it follows a different structure than straight-ahead print for pay. To help us better understand the promo space and the opportunity it presents, I'm delighted to introduce Theresa Hegel, Executive Editor, Special Projects and Sustainability with ASI, the Advertising Specialty Institute. Welcome, Theresa. Great to talk to you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, I'd like to start out with the basics. From an ASI point of view, how is a promotional product defined? What makes it fit that definition, and what do you not consider a promotional product?
So, a promotional product is kind of a very broad topic. We've got probably like a million different products in our ESP database. Basically, I would say a promo product is kind of any item that is branded and used to promote a company, organization, event, cause, or message. So it could be something that has a logo on it, or it could just have kind of, a graphic or branding colors. I think traditionally people think it's just something that, a product that has a logo on it. But
Sure.
I think we sort of moved and evolved beyond that so that it can also include, maybe a cool tagline, or just, maybe it has like the Coke red coloring on it, but it doesn't actually say Coke, but people know that this is a product that Coke has given out to increase brand loyalty, brand awareness, things like that.
Okay, so it always points back to the brand, or
Yeah, because the purpose is to build that engagement, the loyalty, the brand awareness. It could be internal, like if you are hired at a company, you get that new hire kit that has a t-shirt with your company logo on it, or a notebook, or a water bottle. It could be something that is sold in a store. Like if you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you might buy like the Dunkin' mug, and I think that is still technically a promo product, even though you're paying for it.
sure.
Um, so I think that's basically what it is. So it's
Okay.
a pretty broad definition.
And are there any sort of new categories that are hot in the promotional area that haven't been explored so much?
I think what's becoming more prominent, at least in the last few years, has definitely been drinkware. That has grown pretty quickly over the last few years, and I think it obviously tracks with how popular that is in retail. There's always like the it brands of drinkware, like Stanley or Owala, all of those have really grown in popularity. Other than that, I think food gifts are something I think not everybody thinks about, but chocolates or coffee cake or any kind of thing that you can eat is actually a very popular promo item.
I hadn't thought of that.
Food
Um,
for thought.
absolutely. Um, I know you probably deal with this a lot, but would you say there are some inaccurate, sort of preconceived notions that people have about promo, or myths that you often have to correct people on?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things is the idea that promo is just a throwaway item, that it's trinkets and trash, that it's not good for the environment. Um, obviously with any kind of myth like that, I think there is always an element of truth to it. There is bad promo out there for sure. However, the thoughtful promo, the stuff that distributors are acting as a brand consultant with their clients, they're coming up with things that is kept and used and remembered kind of on the long term. It has to align with like a brand's goals. If you're doing things that are a little bit higher quality, longer lasting, those are what the best people in the industry are doing. So that trinkets and trash kind of reputation, there is some merit to it, but it's a big industry and there's a lot more to it than that kind of myth. I think other people think that, oh, promo is just for trade shows. Yes, that is one aspect of it, that people give stuff out at trade shows. But you can see kind of like the idea of merch. It's all over the place. Big brands are always doing like giveaways, or they're selling they have their own kind of brand store online. All of that is promo products too. It's not just, the pen or what have you that's given out at a trade show. And also there's that misconception that digital marketing is kind of replacing all the tangible stuff. I think I just saw something I forget where it was, but they were talking about like it's a backlash to AI and all the digital stuff. Everybody is going analog. So I think there is a backlash to everything being online, and promo can really ride that wave and give people something tangible and memorable that they can keep.
Can you sort of outline the five top promotional product market areas as outlined by ASI, and what do they have in common, and what, in your opinion, separates them?
I think from our most recent research, the top five would be education, healthcare, construction, manufacturing, and then finance slash insurance. And I mean, every year those numbers kind of, those markets change a little bit, but I think education is almost always at the top, which makes sense, right? Because people are repping their school. It could be, I mean, that goes from elementary up to universities. And how much brand and merch do you have from your school? It's all over the place. And not only do you have just the stuff from a school, you would have things from particular sports or particular clubs. So there is a kind of a really vast array of promo that would be used for education. So I think, what they have in all these five categories, kind of what they have in common is, that they have large workforces that have frequent communication needs. They value trust, consistency, credibility, and they're using the promo for things like employee engagement, community outreach, brand reinforcement, and then for things like events, recruiting, and safety initiatives. As far as what separates them, I mean, like obviously education is very specifically about like the schools and school pride, and I think because sometimes it's like what's in the campus bookstore, you might be able to do like trendier kind of apparel, right? But a construction market is probably looking for safety gear or more workwear, like heavier duty kind of stuff. So I think it really just depends on who within the category you're sourcing promo for and like what their aims are. I think even within a category, it can be very different what the promo items would be.
One thing that comes to mind as a question following up with that is, I know you talked about merch being part of promotional products. If you look at construction is a good example. Like one thing you might have are work uniforms. Those types of uniform treatments, would those be considered under promotional products as well, in your opinion?
Yes, I think so. So I think that not everybody in the promo space has embraced uniforms yet because it's can be a little daunting, could be a little bit scary. But I've talked to a lot of uniform suppliers who want to work with people in the promo industry and help them kind of add that vertical to their portfolio. And they look at it as like if you can supply the uniforms, that's kind of like an annuity that you're providing because you figure it out once, and then as new people are being hired or as the first uniform wears out, you are there to kind of provide the new uniform for them. So yes, I do think that it is part of promo, but it's not always something that a promo distributor is ready to capture yet. But when they can figure it out or when they can partner with the right uniform supplier, then they're really turning themselves into that one-stop shop that everybody is looking for. So yes, I do think it is part of promo. Maybe it hasn't always been thought of that way, but it's definitely growing. And there's definitely suppliers who want to bring uniforms more to the distributors that we service.
Yeah, kind of an interesting segue here, but we talk about uniforms, and obviously there's uniformity there. There's also variety. So, to what degree would you say print-on-demand technologies and sort of the societal move toward higher levels of customization, to what degree are those changing the promotional products playing field?
Oh, it's becoming such a huge kind of inflection point in promo. Print on demand is something that I wrote about and heard about like last year, like all the time. And I think it's continuing this year. But traditionally, I think in promo, it's been those kind of bulk buying methods where you get like 1,000 shirts for event and you have them ahead of time, but then you have that inventory risk because what if not everybody needs it? What if the sizing is wrong? So there's waste, there's kind of like upfront risk. So the ability to do this kind of like within like a more efficient method where it's like whether it's for e-commerce or for an actual event, but actually print on demand as it's needed and be able to do that kind of variable data. So you could put like a person's name on it or let them pick like the color or design or placement that they want. I mean, that's what people expect in like their regular lives. So if they can't get it in promo, then they're disappointed and they'll probably try to kind of go elsewhere. Like they might just go and just try to find it on Amazon or whatnot. So I think that print on demand is something that people are demanding. So if our industry isn't able to provide it, then that's going to be a friction point that will lose customers. It is really starting to be addressed more and more. I think there's more like platforms that enable this kind of seamless process of print on demand, like that automation that everybody needs, because obviously you can do like those low minimum orders. It's possible to do it at any time, but the problem is it profitable to do it? So now with like automation and AI and some of these different like platform things that are available, we're making print on demand a more profitable and efficient process. So that's the difference. It's something I think people have always wanted, but it has to be actually lucrative for people to provide. And I think now that's what's been changing.
Yeah, I think technologically it's become viable, but those sort of pricing models where, you need to have profitability of producing it, but you also need to be able to offer a price point to the customer that they are willing to pay.
It's a kind of a delicate balance. And I think from some of our most recent research, I don't have the number right off the top of my head, but it's something like more than 50% of distributors in our industry are offering print on demand, at least to some extent. For about 3/4 of them, that's on top of like the traditional promo buying that they already did. But print on demand is definitely growing in popularity, and it sort of ties into how many people are offering company stores and online kind of e-commerce solutions.
Now, I've seen the concept of sustainability come up in numerous articles about promo, and I know sustainability is one of the things you focus on in your job. So, what are some common steps both promo producers and distributors are taking to make promotional products more sustainable?
So, one of the things that has come up time and again is just sort of the need for transparency within the supply chain and the ability to kind of trace a product from the material stage to when it's actually getting to that end user and even like the end of life. So I have seen multiple suppliers who work with companies that offer sort of like traceable solutions where you can like scan a little QR code and find out like, hey, this, tote bag was made with organic cotton and this is where the cotton came from, or it's from this kind of recycled polyester. So a lot of it, so there's definitely been like a movement toward more sustainable or lower impact kind of materials, whether it's recycled polyester or organic cotton or other kind of recycled or recyclable materials. There's also the idea of just products that have like a longer lifespan, things that are reusable, things that are well designed, things that people are going to want to keep for a long time. And then the idea too of just, not just giving out like the cheapest thing possible to the most amount of people. You have the same spend, but why not use that on fewer, higher quality products that people are actually asking for, as opposed to just kind of spraying it out to the masses. So I think there's like a lot of different sustainability plays that are happening, but really like that traceability, the transparency is huge. A lot of like those bigger clients, like the Fortune 500 kind of clients, they want to be able to get data at a product level to show what kind of carbon impact or what kind of impact these products have. Not everybody can do that yet, but that's definitely where things are trending. And I think that's where people in the promo industry have to work towards, because that's what people want.
Printing United Alliance is the leading member-based printing and graphic arts association in North America, with over 70 years of history and more than 20,000 members worldwide. We're here to support printing professionals like you with the tools, resources, and information you need to grow your business, sharpen your skills, and expand your network. Whether you're a printer, supplier, student, or educator, we've built our community to serve everyone who's passionate about the future of print. An Alliance membership is a smart, cost-effective way to stay current on the latest trends, connect with industry leaders, and give your business the competitive edge it deserves. Head over to printing.org/membership to learn more about the memberships we offer. Let's move the printing industry forward together.
One thing that's very interesting to me in this space is what I would call the keepability factor. It's gotten to the point that when I go to a conference, I'll generally say no thank you to the cheap water bottle I don't need. I have one with me, or the tote bag that I don't need either. And part of it is I think quality is important, but some of these things I just don't need. So just slapping a logo on something low quality almost becomes kind of wasteful. I've definitely been at some events where I see the cheap free water bottles either in a trash can or stuck on a table somewhere because somebody didn't want it. Is there a general move in the promo space toward better quality? Because I know you talked about that, spray and pray approach where you put out 50,000 things and hope 100 people like it. And can you describe what that looks like?
Well, I think one thing that I'm noticing more of is instead of just having an item at a trade show or at an event that people just, grab and walk away, a lot of times we're looking at things that maybe have like a live activation kind of component, like where you can design how you want the shirt to look. Maybe it's like a direct to film, like there's a couple of different designs and you actually get a hand in saying where they go on the t-shirt. That way you're getting kind of the colors and design that you like. And because you had a hand in making it, it feels more personal, it's more memorable. But it's good. It kind of goes beyond just like being able to create a t-shirt that you want. I've also seen where people are kind of using AI, where you can get a photo of a person at an event and then run it through some kind of pre-made AI filter to turn it into like a cartoon character that has a Hawaiian theme or like a Vegas theme. And then you actually etch or print that onto some products that are brought. So it gives it something a little bit more unique than just that tote bag that has like a generic logo on it. You're actually making something, it's still giving the brand recall, but it's becoming a really cool, like kind of novelty piece that has your face on it or has your name on it. So you want to keep it because it's personal to you. I think part of it is, yes, like having the same spend, but using it for nicer things. But like, can you take those promo products and turn it into kind of a brand engagement story? Can you make it part of an activation that will be memorable, that people will really appreciate, will have fun, and it has that kind of keepsake factor to it? The other is obviously the design of it. You want it to look nice, make it be more premium. Yeah, I mean, really, like if it's something that you like and want and is useful to you, you'll keep it and you'll want it, right? So obviously, like we have to come up with things that are not just like the tote bags that everyone has or the water bottles that everyone has. The other thing that is helpful is if it's at a trade show, for example, like I said, don't just give it everything to everyone. Like maybe you make people work for it a little bit. Like maybe they have to come up to you and like fill in their name or say they want something and maybe it'll get shipped later or picked up at the end of the show. So that way you're kind of ruling out the people that are just like grabbing something because it's like autopilot. They actually have to take a step and then you kind of, they have to take a step and you captured their information, and it has like kind of a multiple purpose if you sort of make the promo more like of a thing that people want to get, not just like, I'll take that.
It's like almost like a reward where say, hey, you came to visit our booth. We had some really good engagement. Let's try to a little bit cement that relationship.
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
Take this with you.
And if you approach it that way, I think it makes sense to not bring as much stuff because not everybody is going to take those steps. That way you can actually reward people with something that is higher quality that they would actually want.
I know you mentioned that there are something like 1 million different products available on the database that ASI maintains. It's a lot of stuff. I would assume a lot of them are sourced from overseas. So how have recent tariffs affected the promo space? And do you see distributors or producers of promotional products seeking domestically produced items instead, or are they just kind of sucking up the cost or passing that on to customers?
Obviously, yes, you're correct that a lot of promo comes from overseas, a lot of it from China. So yes, it is very affected by tariffs and has been. I mean, that has caused a lot of uncertainty with pricing and costs. There's definitely been more pressure on the timelines and the sourcing decisions. I think obviously people have had to pass some of those costs on to distributors and then distributors passing those on to their customers. As far as people moving domestic, there is a contingent of kind of domestic made promo, but it is much smaller. And from everybody that I've talked to, it's very unlikely that the industry en masse is going to move to a domestic supply chain model. What I see more of is kind of like nearshoring or diversifying the supply chain. So not everything is coming from China. Maybe they're looking at bringing things from like Central America or Mexico or something like that. Or looking for different places that will work better kind of long term. But there are made in America companies in this industry. And I think this year, especially with the America 250 movement that's happening, there is a bigger push, and I think there will be a bigger push for made in America goods. So they're here, they're smaller, they have that speed to market, they have kind of maybe like a reliability to them, but they often also come with a higher price. And I think the price difference, even with the tariffs making other prices higher, there's still the disparity for some of these products that is not going to make it happen like on a large scale. But for the people that care about these things and for the people that want made in America goods, they can find a pretty wide variety of products that are made in the US. And I think there is going to be an uptick in interest this year because of not just the tariffs, but because of some things like the World Cup and things like that.
Do you see, just staying on tariffs for a minute, does it tend to drive the customer, the person specifying what they want, toward a lower cost, lower price point product to kind of soften the blow?
Sometimes I think so. I mean, I think a lot of this depends on how good your relationship is with your customer, right? Like if you are a distributor who really has kind of set themselves up as a brand consultant and, has that relationship, I think you can sort of steer people toward the better choices, even in these tougher times. But certainly I have seen suppliers in the last year switch from like, hey, look at the great name brands we have and look at all this really high quality stuff, to like, hey, look at the, economy line of products that we have. So there is definitely a shift toward people looking at price conscious options. So, and I think like even things that are more price conscious doesn't necessarily mean it is going to be throwaway or like trashy kind of items. Like a cheap thing can still work. It just depends on, does it meet the need of your customer? Is this actually what they want? There could be a way to do something that's cheaper and meets all those needs. It just depends on how kind of dialed in you are to what your customer is looking for.
Now, I know one of the messages sort of stemming from the strategic partnership between ASI and Printing United Alliance is that there is great opportunity within connections between the printing and promotional product spaces. So among the printers you've talked to who've made a step into promo, how would you say their experience has been?
So I think one of the things I've heard is just printers are surprised at how much easier promo can be, which, I mean, maybe it's just because printers are often used to kind of doing all that fulfillment on their own. They buy all that expensive equipment. They're actually printing on stuff. Many promo people are sales focused. They don't have to get that logo on the pen or onto the stress ball, the notebook, or whatever the product is. But they just have to make partnerships with suppliers who are doing that, and then they connect that with their clients. So in that sense, I think that for printers, it's, as long as they're kind of already like good at sales, I think it's actually a very good, easy opportunity to add promo on. And I think that they've also found that some people that were traditionally in print for maybe some of the categories that are just not as prevalent, that's certainly not as lucrative as it might have been when we didn't have all the digital kind of solutions. So the ability to diversify into promo products really helps kind of soften the blow of maybe some traditional print opportunities that maybe are not as available as they used to be. So even though we use different terms for things, we all sort of speak the same language in terms of like color management and understanding like what a high quality logo, what format it needs to be in and stuff like that. So I think a printer coming into promo is going to be easier than just some like random person off the street who is giving you like that, dreaded like napkin logo or something that they put on Canva and think that you can get it on a t-shirt. I think printers are starting at a higher level than just like the average newbie to the industry.
What would you say promo professionals most need to understand about printers, given what you've learned over the last couple of years here, and vice versa? And what do you think is needed to help them align effectively or go that last mile to really working together?
Yeah. So what the promo pros need to understand about printers, um, I think that they definitely need to understand just how to speak the language of printing and really be able to explain where logos need to be placed, like colors, like all that kind of brand consistency. I think that the turnaround times are maybe different with print compared to promo. So I think most of it just comes down to communication. As long as people are communicating really well with each other and what everyone means by certain terms and what they mean by like we need it by this in hands date or whatnot, as long as there's time taken to kind of build those relationships and communicate well with each other, I think that any kind of miscommunications or misunderstandings would be able to be smoothed over.
To what degree do you see as more printers sort of start jumping into this promo opportunity? Do you see them becoming distributors themselves or suppliers to distributors? And then in what way do you think an influx of printers into the promo space would change promo as we know it?
I mean, I think it depends on what their aims are. So I know obviously there's some kind of wide format printers, like I would think like Showdown Displays, they're a wide format printer, but they've very specifically decided to service the promo industry as a supplier, right? So they're not going direct to consumers with what they do. They're very, very clear on being, positioned as a supplier that is supporting promotional product distributors. That's one method, but there are like other people that are like screen printers or commercial printers that are becoming distributors. And I think that's certainly an avenue that can work. You might have to kind of change up your like employee mix. Like maybe you need a more dedicated sales force that understands promo. And there, I think there's also an opportunity to partner on like a contract basis, right? Like maybe a distributor needs some kind of like print collateral, and then they don't have a source for that. They can't do it themselves. Maybe they can kind of work on a partnership with a commercial printer. So I think there's different avenues, but whichever avenue you pick, you just need to be very clear on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and make it clear to your customers so that, like, for instance, like if you want to go that supplier route, well, then you should probably not go direct to clients, or at least not go direct when it comes to like the traditional promo items. There's no law against it. I mean, people do, but it's just if you want to kind of build up the trust of the clients, then you wouldn't go direct. As far as an influx of printers coming into promo, I'm sure some people in the industry would not be happy about it. But I really do think that there is a lot of opportunity available for everyone. And I think growing the industry and elevating the industry and making it more visible and more kind of professional, I think that's going to be good for everybody. I don't see it as like, there's this much pie, and if the printers come, then there's not enough pie for the promo people. I think that it's kind of more like, oh, I don't know, like a big bowl of Jello, and you're just adding more to it with the dessert metaphor.
A final question. This is a hypothetical. I know ASI is going to have a major presence at Printing United Expo coming up in the fall. I'm very much looking forward to that. But let's say you're in that area and you're talking to a printing company about promo, and the person says they can't really see how or why promo as an opportunity fits into what they do. What do you either advise them, or what do you ask them to help determine whether it could be?
I think maybe they need to kind of rethink what their customers are doing, because I'm sure that their customers are buying promo. They're just not buying it from them. So maybe this is an opportunity to go back to your customers and just like point blank ask them, do you ever need apparel or giveaways or items for events or things for like safety awards for your clients? I'm sure that they're already getting it from someone else. Like why wouldn't you want to be that one-stop shop? Why wouldn't you want to make it easy for them? I mean, I think that that's the best way to do it. Like you need to like go back and look at your clients. The other thing, I don't know the exact statistics, but isn't it like easier to get more business from existing clients and try to win new ones?
Absolutely.
And if you're not getting promo from these clients already, I'm sure they're buying it. So that's kind of your opportunity to grow your business with these existing clients and deepen the relationship and just make them happier. And really, a lot of times that's how I've heard people go from printers to do promo, it's because a client was like, hey, can you do this? And they're like, yes, I can. And then they have to go figure out how to do it. Instead of waiting for that to happen, be a little proactive and kind of survey your clients. Or you could even do this, like, what if you just got some self promos that have, a cool pen or some cool product, and the next time you do a printing thing for them, include that in the box, and then maybe you'll get people saying, hey, I didn't know you could do that. Can you do this order for me? That works too. So I think there's a lot of avenues for how you can add promo in, or even just like dip your toes in the water. Like, you don't have to go all in right away. Maybe you can just be like, hey, I know like my clients need some cool coffee mugs, or just pick a couple areas to focus on and see if you can add that into the product mix.
Fantastic. Well, Theresa Hegel, thanks so much for talking to me today. It's delightful.
All right. It was fun for me too.
You've been listening to the Wide Format Impressions broadcast. You can find more great content at wideformatimpressions.com.